Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Quadrant Lunch Talk. And of course today we are going to talk a lot again about real current affairs to see about property investment, about real estate itself. Okay, and of course I think the whole key thing over here is to really look at I think this one news which is very exciting to many. There are a lot of speculations coming up. Of course then this relates back down to what's the sentiments on the ground with regards to of course property and so on, because everything all boils back down to what is the land price in Singapore, and ultimately what are the developers willing to actually bid for and buy this land, and at what cost. So let's explore this one particular article that came up, which is actually the first residential GLS, so government land sale tender in 2021. So we are like pretty much reaching the end of April, almost halfway into the year, and this the guy is the first GLS tender. So that's something that is really very exciting to look at, and then that will of course most likely set the tone for the future as well. So let's take a look, guys. Of course, if you guys are in on the chat, just to type a hello. Of course, Ivan's hi, my good bro over here, saying I look good, thank you, bro. Okay, okay. So I mean, if you guys just in the chat, just in the chat, and then of course, and if you have any questions, we are very happy to answer them as well. No, this is the article that came up, of course, on 27th April. Today is like what, 29th April. So 2 days ago, this came out. What happens over here is that we have a new record in a sense that came up. This land came up for bidding in near Farrer Park there. So in this scenario, you actually the developer actually bid 445.9 million for this particular plot of land. But of course, the key number that you want to look at is this number called per plot ratio, which was actually 1129, if I'm not wrong, around 1129 per square foot. So the last sold in this same area, which was slightly more premium in terms of location because it's nearer to the MRT as compared to this one. This one, if I'm not wrong, is about maybe a 3 to 4 minutes walk as compared to the other side, which is about 1 minute walk. So that project actually today is called Uptown at Farrer. It's almost fully sold. Going to TOP within the next couple of months, and so that's the latest data that we have. So that particular plot itself sold for about 1,000 per plot ratio. So what does this mean? So now this particular land, which is slightly further from the MRT, which means that it's slightly less premium, but yet it's sold at 10% higher price. And that's something that I think is also expected. So just coming back a little bit into, let's look a little bit into why this actually happens. Is that I think number one, since the pandemic happens, this is actually only the second so-called GLS sale for the last 1 year plus. Yeah. So that's something to really consider about as well. So this is only the second unit. So you can understand in the sense that given the new launch that has been really pretty much selling like crazy for the last couple of months, or even last couple of months been crazy. We are seeing every single new launch that come out is like almost 50% sold. So that's very crazy, and that's data, and that's a transaction volume that we've never really seen before pre-pandemic as compared to today. And that is also, of course, related to in terms of very basic demand-supply issue. So as of today, the supply is pretty much, or new launch supply in the market has pretty much reached very low point, yeah, and therefore I would say demand is something that is there, and compared to the supply, and therefore this also then relates back down to how much the developers are willing to pay for the land. So in this scenario, we are seeing that developers are paying 10% higher, guys, 10% higher for a less premium location, which of course makes Uptown at Farrer seem like a very beautiful project now. So I'm very happy that Uptown at Farrer is one of the projects that we identified couple of, I say 1 year plus back, and of course many of our committee members have entered into it, and so congrats to you guys for those who have taken action to buy into Uptown at Farrer. Hey, you guys are pretty much very well protected with this government land sale that actually just happened itself. So you can expect easily a 10% land price itself really increased by 10%. Now let's look at how much the developer is likely to sell. So to actually look at how much they're going to sell, we're just going to use a very simple formula. Pre-pandemic, construction cost typically is about 350 per square foot to really pretty much develop. Okay, so per plot ratio to develop. Now, currently, pandemic, we know that there's delays in construction and everything. So we're expecting costs to go up. We have actually pretty much looked into the cost of construction for the last couple of tender awards, and we realized that now it's closer towards the high 300 to the very low 400 as of today for mass market product. So as of today, I would say that construction cost is likely to be around, if you want to be very conservative, more conservative, you can use a 400 figure as a calculation. Now, looking back to this, remember guys, this is sold at 1129. So just do a very simple calculation. 1129 plus 400, we are looking at per plot ratio 1129 plus 400, we're looking at 1529 as the pretty much the core I don't even break even, I call it just construction cost and the land cost itself. Then we want to look at what's the margins that developer can make. Usually we put at 15% and 15% cost and 50% margin. So typically we do a multiply by 1.3. So we took a 30% gross margins over to really pretty much cover their overheads, everything. And this pretty much should be the core minimum that you would expect the developer to sell it at. So if I do a times 1.3, we're expecting it to be about 1987 per square feet on the average price, which means that we are looking at, if the developer just want to make a normal margins, we are likely going to sell it at 2,000 per square feet. Now, once again, then we look at small and big units, right? So big units, typically the price per square feet will pretty much drop a little bit, whereas the one bedder will push up a little bit. So most likely we are looking at one bedder to be around the 2,002 per square feet. So we are looking at 2,002 per square feet. Typical one bedder today are around like 450, 460 per square feet times 2,200. We are looking at probably a 1 million one bedder in that area. And then we are looking at probably two bedders. We are looking also around, means you just minus off maybe 100 PSF or 2,001 PSF. And then of course the what we call the three bedder upwards, we're probably looking at 1,009 to close to 2,000 PSF. So that is pretty much the rough estimate that we can look at moving forward when it comes to this particular development itself. Yeah, so thank you guys. I'm seeing some of you guys are saying hello, both Kelvin Cole. Hello to both of you. I think you are watching. Are you watching same guy or different guy? Same guy means you are watching from Facebook and YouTube. Okay, awesome. Okay, anyway, coming back to this, right? So if we look at back, of course, look at how much Uptown and Farrer pretty much sold at, is pretty much sold at around 1,008 per PSF on average, 1,008. Those enter in early is about 1,007 plus 1,008. Then those enter in slightly later about 1,009. Yeah, so pretty much we are looking at pretty much, yes, yeah, we are looking at least a 10% capital gains that already happened just based on this GLS. Now, if supply continuously become, basically if there isn't new supply coming to the market, then we can expect developer to pretty much will likely market even higher than the 2,000 PSF on average. We are looking, they are likely going to market it maybe at 2,001 PSF on average, because of the fact that now there is just not much competition in the market itself. Those that have already pretty much launched have already pretty much, you think about it, many of the more popular ones have already sold 50 to 90% of units, which means that those developers are then not urgent to sell, which means that of course they have already increased in price, and therefore you think about it, we compare both existing product in the market, of course, then this new launch, most likely they'll be able to market out easily at 2,000 per square feet, 2,001 per square feet. And that's the rough calculation that we can look at. Now, so the question here is this: we know that it's going to go increase in price, and so the question here is this, and we want to answer is that what impact does GLS, government land sale, have on the surrounding properties? You ask me, I think two of the main key things that I really like to look at in terms to really pretty much safely predict is there going to be a capital gains or not, is two things. I think master plan, that is if you look at a mid to long term basis. Yeah, master plan means that there's more development coming up, which means that then the entire area becomes just more attractive for residents to come in. More attractive means that then demand is high, then of course then developer will come in to want to increase the supply because there's higher demand. So that is one. So very basic demand supply economics. Now, next will be that, of course, with higher GLS sale, which means that now that sets the new precedence in the sense that now this land or the land surrounding now is worth at 1,129 per plot ratio as compared to previously. So then now we know that since the land in the area is seen as around this price, of course naturally the surrounding will also then increase in price as well. So I think government land sales is one of the main key factors. Government land sales, and maybe en bloc, but more towards government land sale, is one of the key factors that that we usually look at as well to really determine what is the current value of land that developers are willing to bid. Now, looking deeper into it, if there was just maybe 1 to 3 to 4 bids, I would say that then maybe, this could be out of the normality. But in this scenario, we actually had 10 bids for this particular GLS sale, and which actually just tells me also that there's high demand and high demand in terms of developer wanting to, of course, onboard new land as well. So 100% that's going to be pretty much very predictable is that land will continuously increase in price. I think it's going to be crazy. I think if government don't release more land for sale, we are going to see the next few GLS also to be very popular, because developer main business is to sell unit. If they have no stock, they can't build up on revenue, shareholders will be very unhappy. So you think about it, guys, it's just the normal demand supply. They need the stock to sell. So in that scenario, then of course, then comes back down to two possibilities. Number one, GLS, next GLS is coming, if not at Ang Mo Kio Avenue 1 and one more, I can't remember where, one more that's coming up, right? Most like those two land sales will also have probably heavy competition coming up. That's one. Or number two, if government still do not release in land, then we can expect, yes, I think en bloc will likely then just come back in a little bit. So we're just going to monitor a little bit more to see if the government is going to release more government land for sale. If not, then if they're still not going to release in the next couple of months, then I would say that developer will then likely start looking at potential en bloc. Yeah. So in that scenario, that is probably my prediction moving forward. Yeah. And of course, as an investor, how do we take GLS to account for investment? Of course, naturally, if really can predict that, you can look into two ways. You really can predict that if the developer is going to sell at 2001 PSF, 2000 PSF, maybe you can look at the resale market in the surrounding. If you can see that let's say, for example, a project selling at like 1006 PSF, and of course we want to look at quantum as well, not just in terms of PSF. I must look at affordability as well. But looking at, let's say, a newer project and they're selling at 1006 PSF, 1001 PSF, and you know that the size is as of today normal sizing. What's normal sizing to me today? One bedders are pretty much today, they'll probably build smaller than 500 square feet. Two bedders, they're probably building it around 650 to very low 700 square feet, and three bedders typically now we're looking at compact at like 900 square feet, and then the bigger ones are 1000 square feet. So you're looking at around this sizing, and you're looking at the per square feet is like 1006, 1007 as compared to this land at 2001. And hey, I mean, you know that there is a very good opportunity coming up. Okay, so answering one question over here by Kelvin, do you think if the government will continue to pump out reserve GLS in view of current manpower crunch? I think most likely they will. My prediction is that if the government land sale, continuously gonna be beat up to that level in terms of the price point, then I feel that if government do not increase in land, then developer is their business. At the end of the day, they will just go for en bloc. Most likely they'll just start going for en bloc, and that will also then drive up property prices. So I think if government want to keep the land affordable, I think the easiest way for them to do it is to pretty much launch more government land for sale, then to pretty much just basically not say flood the market with more supply, but pretty much, if they launch more land, then naturally, of course, the bidding will just pretty much soften down a little bit, and that is where then the launch prices will also be softened down a bit. I think it will be a good move if government can continuously launch a bit more land for sale. I think they've been very conservative in the last couple of 1 over year itself. Yeah, so I think they should. In view of current manpower crunch, I think. That's something that cannot be controlled, but ultimately, think about it, people will still want to buy new properties, people will still want to shift houses, that's just a normal demand supply in terms of the whole real estate market. So I think that's something that government cannot stop in terms of the demand. Demand will always be there. And not to mention in Singapore, I think majority of home ownerships are basically for homestayers. So we are not even dependent on foreigners to come in to really pretty much wipe out our stock itself as compared to some other countries overseas. So think about it, this is all fueled by local demand itself, guys. local demand. So in this scenario, I think that's something that cannot be controlled. So I hope the government release more if they want to curb it rather than releasing more cooling measures in the near future. Yeah? So of course, once again, we have no idea what government will do. We can only make predictions over here. But if I were to make a few bold predictions, I would say number one, land price will continue to go up because just very simple demand supply mismatch. I think, and of course, the new launches have been selling really well. 50% sold out in over a weekend. I think that only just spells the demand for investment units or for new stock in the market. That's one. Number two, if that don't happen, I mean, if there's no new government land sale, then probably most likely developers have no choice but to look at en bloc. So that is when then I'll then start making predictions on en bloc that will happen. If not, then if government comes in to then launch more government land sale, then I think that attention will be moved away from en bloc to more towards government land sale once again, because there is just a smaller cost to really get into government land sale as compared to en bloc, in a sense, because at the end of the day, private owners just expect much higher price point. So developers still have to bid a much higher price point, and not to mention they still have to pay a stamp duty on it of extra 5%. So in this scenario, the government land sale still is one of the cheaper option for developer to pretty much acquire land, cheaper, more straightforward option to acquire land. So if government don't launch, so if that doesn't happen, then probably price will continuously go up, which then means that government, the only way to curb it down is through cooling measure. So I think I'll rank it in that. I will pretty much do it in this sequence. So that being said, I think that is my rough prediction. I think government land sale is something that we will just want to continuously keep our eyes on. The next two big news would definitely be on the government land sale for the next two upcoming bids. Just keep an eye on those two. If those two continuously also break record by more than 10% or 10% or more, I think that's where then we know that, hey, you know what, the market's really heating up to a level where government might step in already. Yeah. So just take a look out in that, and that will just give you a very good idea and indication to then actually plan your next property move, to buy the surrounding resale. Yeah, that's one thing you want to look at. Okay, to really to capitalize on the market of this particular whole so-called very hot new launches coming up. Okay, so with this, hope that you guys got some value into this session. If you guys have gotten some value, hey, just leave a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, go YouTube, go and type iQuadrant, and we have so awesome content over there for you guys as well. Okay, and of course, with this, I'm Shawn from iQuadrant. Hope that you guys have gotten awesome value, and I'll see you guys again next week. See you. Bye.